What's good, everybody? In my video today, we're talking about rational exponents and radical expressions and how to switch from one form to the other. If you find this video helpful, smash the like button for your boy. So in our first problem, guys, we're in the rational exponents form and we're trying to go to radical form. So what we have to understand is this equation right here. So when we switch this over to radical form, guys, our base is going to be under the radical. We have a power of 1 and a root of 2. But in most situations, guys, this is just saying the same thing as the square root of 9. We normally don't put the 1 or 2 there. It's something that is understood. So once we simplify this by rewriting it in the radical form, we're able to simplify this radical and get a whole number of 3. Now, in my second example, what they try to do with some of these is trick us and make us believe that every one of these rational exponents can become an integer through simplifying. So when I set this up now, we're trying to take the cube root of 2 to the second power. And what we have to understand is that there is no cube root of 2. We cannot break that down anymore. So essentially, this would be our answer, what we have right here. Or if we want to write it with parentheses, we could do something like this as well, right? So now we go back to our third example. And just remember, guys, anything to the 1/2 power is just the same thing as taking its square root. So they're basically asking us for the square root of 49, which would give us 7 as a final answer. So this is just an intro on how to solve and switch from one form to the other. In our second part, we're going to go through some practice problems together. Moving on to the next part of our video, guys, we're now going to talk about going from rational exponents to whole number integers. And not every problem will probably be able to do this, but some we can. So in our first problem, they're asking us for 16 to the 1/4 power. So when we rewrite this in a radical form, they're saying that when we have 16, right, it's just to the first power, which means it's just 16. What is the fourth root of 16, or is there a fourth root of 16? And luckily for us, there is, right? We know that 2 is the fourth root of 16 because if we take 2 to the fourth power, we would get 16 as an answer, okay? So that's problem number 1. Now, problem number 2 is going to be a little bit different because now instead of everything being to the power of 1, it's going to be to the power of 2. So let's see how that changes the problem. So I go through, I rewrite this, right? And I'm going to use parentheses just to switch up the format a little bit. Now, this is what they're saying to us. They're saying that if we can find the cube root of 8, we need to take that answer to the second power. Luckily for us, we know that 2 times 2 times 2 will give us 8. So 8 is a perfect cube. So now my answer turns into 2, right? Because that's the cube root of 8. And then now we're going to square that answer, meaning bring it to the second power. So as a result, guys, my final answer should be 4. Now, my last problem here, I had to throw this in, guys, because math, we start off simple and then we throw you a curveball, and sometimes students get confused, but your boy Peter's got you. So, guys, the same thing is going to apply. We do not see a power, we do not see a root. So, guess what? We're going to assume that this is 1 and this is 2. That is the standard with any radical, okay? So now when we go over to here, I'm going to put this, let's see. I'm going to put this in parentheses, x minus 3. And then now our rational exponent, right? Let's make sure. Remember, a is under the radical on top of the fraction. So this is going to be x minus 3 to the 1/2 power. All right? So just please make sure you guys remember that. But before we go on to the last part of the video, I want to do one more radical problem with you guys so that you guys could kind of see more than one example. And we're going to go based off this one. So in our second problem now, this is what they do, and I want you guys to really pay attention. So now what they do is they say we have radical x minus 3. So how does this change the problem, guys? Well, for one, we see that only x is under the radical, right? So what happens is I'm going to have x in parentheses. I'm going to put it to the 1/2 power, right? Because there's nothing there. So we assume power is 1, root is 2. And then after that, we're just going to rewrite this. So x to the 1/2 power minus 3. And this will be our final answer. If you have any questions, guys, comment down below. I'll definitely respond if there's any confusion with these two. But in the last part of our video now, we're going to answer a specific question. See you guys there. In my last part of this video, guys, we're going over a specific multiple choice question. It's asking us, out of these 5 answers, when we simplify the radical, which one of them is going to give us the same answer as 2 to the 1/2, or just the square root of 2? So let's go through each and every one of these, okay? So when we go through our very first one, we have the cube root of 4. So guys, we know that there is no cube root of 4. So when we rewrite this as a rational exponent, we're going to have 4 to the 1/3 power. And we know that this is not an answer, okay? So we're just going to put up x over a. Now when we go back, right, and I'm just going to jump through the answers, okay, or the choices. We're going to now go and do the same thing with the 6th root of 16. So once we rewrite this now, guys, we're going to have 16 to the 1/6 power. But remember that our answer is a base of 2. So we're going to have to rewrite this rational exponent with a base of 2. How are we going to do that, guys? So let me show you. To get to 16 with a base of 2, right, that means we're going to have 2 to the 4th power, because that is the same thing as 16, but now our base is the same. We're going to bring that exponent and put it on the outside of the parentheses. Now just remember 4 times 1 over 6, right? We just multiply straight across. We're going to get 4 over 6. So when I simplify, I'm going to have 2 to the 4 over 6 power. And this is the same thing with simplifying fractions, guys. Base stays the same. And once we simplify, we're going to get 2 to the 2/3 power. And when we look at this answer and compare it to 2 and 1/2, it is not equivalent. So it is not an answer as well. So let's X that out. All right. So in our next answer choice now, we're going to go over to, let's do the cube root. Now let's do the 6th root of 8. So when it comes to this one now, guys, same thing. Anytime they're asking if something is equivalent, you want to rewrite that number with the same base. So when I look here, 2 to the 3rd power is the same thing as 8, right? So we first start off by rewriting this 8 to the 1/6 power. Don't have the same base, so I have to switch it. I have to change it, right? Write an equivalent expression. So I have 2 to the 3rd power, same thing as 8. 1/6 stays on the outside of the parentheses, and now we're going to multiply those fractions together. Once I do, I'm going to get 2 to the 3 over 6 power, and when I reduce my fraction, right, this is going to be 2 to the 1/2 power. So we got our first answer, right? So our first answer is going to be D. This is definitely an answer because it's equivalent. Now let's go over to answer choice number B. All right, so, oh, did I say number B? Sorry, guys. All right, so we're in B now. And guys, just remember, right? 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to be rude to say common sense, but just use some critical thinking, right? Do you think that the same number under the radical with different roots is going to give us a same answer? Exactly. So we should know probably automatically that this is not an answer, but let's just double check for accuracy. So we know that 8 to the 1/3 power, or the cube root of 8, is just 2. So we have the same base, guys, but it's just 2. It's not 2 to the 1/2 power. So we're going to say that, hey, B is not an answer either. All right. And now we're left with just answer choice C. And I would always encourage you guys, just do it. Double check. So our last problem now, we have the 4th root of 4. So once I rewrite this, I have 4 to the 1/4 power, right? And now, what's the issue here? Our bases are different. We need to have the same base. So what I'm going to do is rewrite this, and we're going to have 2 squared, because that's the same thing as 4. Bring our parentheses in, bring down the exponent. Now we're going to multiply 2 times 1/4. Once we do, let's just go right here so you guys see better. We're going to get 2 to the 2/4 power. And we know that 2/4, once we reduce that fraction, we're going to get 2 to the 1/2 power. So it looks like answer choice C and D are going to be equivalent to 2 to the 1/2 power. Really hope this video is helpful for you guys on radicals. I'm sorry, radical expressions and rational exponents. Smash the like button for us, subscribe to the channel, and thank you guys so much for joining us on Algebra 1 with Mr. Peters.